today there is a serious crisis in history, writing history, and also in history textbooks and in academia also. We are facing the serious threat of saffronization, and especially in the new national educational policy that is being implemented. How do you view this kind of crisis and deadlock in history and teaching history? What is the future of history in India, according to you?
I mean, this goes back to the Orwellian phrase that you has control over the past, has control over the future. And what we see with the BJP ever since, even before it came to power, has been this attempt to undermine a certain paradigm of history writing that rests on facts, evidence, scientific, reasonable forms of writing, the issues that are written about. So writing about the histories of the subordinate, the marginal, and so on. Writing about history as constituted through conflict. That history is not a kind of an even flow. That is how the BJP seeks to present it, that India has been a continuous civilization from the Vedas onwards, benevolent rulers, completely non-hierarchical forms of social behavior, there are no outsiders to be seen, and the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or saying Athithi Devo Bhava. It's this invocation of certain metaphors which present Hinduism and the space of India as always having been a peaceable region. And which is why they object so strongly to any kind of history. It's not only Marxist history, any kind of history that says that conflict against existing hierarchies has been so central. This is what Romila Thapar spoke about, and this is what Upinder Singh has written about in her book Political Violence in Ancient India. So the conquest of history is crucial for the BJP, not only in order to exercise its own past, that the RSS and other Hindu organizations really were not part of the nationalist movement. Right? And so now, rewriting history involves not only a kind of rewriting of the role of Hindu nationalist organizations as nationalist organizations, as having been always nationalist organizations in the good fight against imperialism. It's also to write this very anodyne history where nothing much happens. We were a peaceful society, and in that sense, a society which is peaceful has no history in that sense, because history is about conflict, struggle, the constant resolution of questions of egalitarianism, the questions of the aspiration for dignity that humans have. And I don't think any society has existed which has been free of power and free of conflict. But that is the history that the BJP seeks to write. Aligned with this, of course, is its denial of science, because for them, these two things go hand in hand. That thinking about history involves a scientific approach. This is not about knowing physics, chemistry, biology. Right? This is about a scientific approach to the study of the world, where you understand the world in ways that are not inherited, that you acquire a critical, rational method of engaging with what goes on, that you are able to look at the facts and arrive at a set of arguments. The whole procedure that Ambedkar talked about, right? That we are not bound by rules, we are bound by reason. Rules is what the BJP puts before us. This is the way society is organized. Whereas Ambedkar says that when you see something, you go behind it. And this is something that Narayana Guru has said in a much more philosophical sense. But I think these are the ways in which they are trying to normalize, the BJP and the Hindu nationalists are trying to normalize the fact that India is a violent society. And they're trying to normalize it by saying that, look, we are occasionally violent, but that's for a good reason. And hence comes in the Muslim, that everything goes back to the idea of Muslim invasion. As if Hindus have lived their lives peacefully with each other, having breakfast, lunch and dinner with their compatriots. So I think for us, this strikes us as absurd, but obviously this is a paradigm that appeals to many. People who suffer from a lack of self-confidence about their identity, where they would like to see Hindus as occupying their place in the world, which is why large numbers of Hindu right-wing organizations supported a lunatic like Donald Trump. This idea of power, and which is why they support Putin. And that goes right and left, across right and left. The idea of the powerful man who can control society through dicta, like Modi does.
Yeah, and even war. What is happening in Ukraine?
Yes. Yeah. And the ambiguity in most people's part about the war against Ukraine is something that I can't understand. It's an immoral war. It's an unjust war. It's fair and simple, but I think it's this idea of Modi, Putin, Trump, Bolsonaro, rulers who are anti-social. They stand against social norms, they stand above society and govern through power. And this appeals to a deep-seated need within Hinduism that we've spoken about, that it is founded on violence and exclusion and the rule of the king, right? Rather than the rule of us, people like us, free-thinking individuals.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dilip Menon, for these enlightened words of wisdom, the insightful kind of observations, and I hope your writing, your history may come up with some kind of more light to the world and to Kerala as well in this conflictuous times and times of crisis. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, all our listeners, and thank you for provoking me by the seaside.
Thanks.